Welcome to episode 11 of the MJ Sports Podcast. My name is Mark and I'm joined by Jonas, and this is your week of sports in review.
Sports. Woo! And we are back after a couple week break, and this week, hopefully you're not too full on turkey, because we're here to fill you up on some good old sports news.
It's a nice little change from the drink that you've been using the last couple weeks. So,
Yeah, I figured I'd switch to food this time.
that's a little more fitting because of the time of year we're in. But
Yes, we can all get fat now.
yeah, well, I say we just dive right in. You want to start with our first storyline here?
Sure. And I don't know, these last 2 weeks, they've been quite interesting, and I think a lot of teams have had quite the lack of consistency, and I'll just name a few teams that come to mind whenever I say that, and that would be the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Falcons, and the Dolphins. The four of those teams played really good one of these past 2 weeks and really bad the other week. And I guess I'll just start with the Cowboys. You know, Mark, we got that one against the Vikings. Yeah, I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know if you like the Vikings more than the Cowboys or whatever, but and then we just looked absolutely dreadful on Thanksgiving against the old football team, and that was just sad, very, very sad.
Yeah, I gotta say, I actually think I prefer you guys over the Vikings, but so I was happy to. It's always nice to see somebody beat the Bears or the Vikings. Um, I just kind of feel bad for the Lions, so if they get some wins here and there, I'm okay with it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, with Dallas, with so many injuries and just the up and down year like some of their players have had, it doesn't exactly surprise me with them. Um, but yeah, I mean, you think of some of these other teams. It is I think this lack of consistency, some of it could possibly stem from, there's not as many in-person walkthroughs right now. Um, it might be a little bit of a stretch to say that, but I mean, you just kind of got to think about it. I mean, I don't think I've seen this. I don't remember at least this many teams being this inconsistent, this often, at least, kind of in
And
the past.
and I'll say, at least with the Cowboys, I mean, like you said, with all the injuries, the win against the Vikings, we've always played well against the Vikings and Kirk Cousins for some reason. Uh, and you could say maybe that's kind of like a fluke win. But like the Raiders, they beat the Chiefs earlier in the season. They almost beat them again if their defense, which granted, nobody's going to stop Mahomes, but um, and then they just absolutely fall apart against Falcons. That's one that surprised me the most because it's not like the Raiders are really dealing with a ton right now. Like they don't have a ton of COVID cases. They don't have too many injuries. They still have
Well,
Derek Carr.
weren't they coming off of a bye, too? I,
Uh, the Chiefs were.
no, I mean the Raiders. Didn't they come off of a bye?
Um,
I might be
I,
mistaken, but
no, I don't know. I'll check real quick. I know the Chiefs did because they mentioned something about the Raiders have played the Chiefs coming off of the Chiefs bye the last like 3 years, and like Andy Reid's like uh has like a ridiculous record coming off a bye. I forget what exactly his record was, but
yeah, I mean I'm not really concerned for the Raiders against the Chiefs, but against the Falcons, who have a beat up, terrible defense. I mean, that was a horrible game to watch. Like,
so oh yeah, go ahead, finish your thought. Finish your
no, no. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, it was just such a bad showing. Like, I mean, there's bad, and then there's like really bad, and they were really, really bad. So
Yeah, well, so the Raiders beat the Broncos 37 to where'd it go? 37 to 12 the week before the Chiefs. So that even makes less sense. It's not like the Broncos are really great, but with Drew Lock, they, you know, can maybe squeeze out a win here. Um, and then the good games get against the Chiefs, and then just absolutely falling apart. So I look, the Raiders are a team to me that always seem to start off pretty strong, and then they just like don't want to make the playoffs at the end of the season. Like they're always like one game out of the playoffs every year.
Yeah, I mean, we did get to see a pretty sweet Josh Jacobs stiff arm, though.
That's true.
I mean, that was one of the most aggressive stiff arms, I've seen from somebody that's not named Derrick Henry. So,
Yeah,
I mean, at least we got that from that game, but yeah, I agree.
yeah. And then I guess the other good team, 'cause the Falcons have kind of been this all year, even within one game itself. Looking great in one half, falling apart the second half. So, I mean, I don't have too much to add, really, to their situation. But the Dolphins, Brock said the Broncos could beat the Dolphins, and they did. So, and Tua got replaced in that game. Uh, Obviously, I think they're going back to him now, but yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
I don't know. I'm still not entirely sold on the Dolphins. Like, they're obviously much better than they've been in years past, and they're a good football team, but they're still really young, and I feel like they've still got some question marks on their team. So it doesn't exactly surprise me that, you know, they maybe have a performance like this every now and again, but I mean, I think it's more so general inexperience from them.
Yeah, yeah, I guess I'd still be just kind of looking, and I guess we can kind of I'll transition this into maybe our next topic. To me, the Ravens look like they have the easiest schedule kind of here down the stretch. I know they just lost two in a row and I mean, they're only one game out of the playoffs. Um, but to me, they kind of have the easier stretch to try to squeeze in there. Um, and then I guess, what do you think about the NFL with all this making the Broncos play? I mean, they could have. 'Cause the Broncos quarterbacks were just cleared. I think like Tuesday or yesterday. So if they would have postponed that game until Wednesday as well, they could have played a normal game. Granted, I don't think it would have changed the outcome, but
Oh,
I,
I,
I don't.
I, I think this is absolutely ridiculous. Now, I know part of it is supposed to be the league punishing, the Broncos quarterbacks because they weren't wearing masks during a team meeting, but that seems excessive to me. I mean, when you're moving, I mean, they moved the Ravens game twice. I mean, that's a little ridiculous to me. I mean, if you want to punish the team, fine, but at least give them an option to, if you're not going to let their quarterbacks play, give them an option to at least give whoever they're going to start at quarterback some reps. I mean, I thought this was very poorly handled by the league personally. I don't think it's fair. I think if it would have been a little bit of a better matchup between two teams, um, they would have pushed it. But that's just my opinion.
Well, and I think that's the only reason they pushed the Steelers Ravens game. Which did they really need to push that game? Because was there like I kept hearing like reports, or I don't know if it was like official reports that they were trying to push to where Lamar Jackson could play again, but kind of how it ended up being, it kind of looked like he never had a chance to play in this game anyway. So why really push it back?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, this just seems this is inconsistent on the part of the league, in my opinion. It's a little different when it's a whole different week, but when you have two games in the same week and you choose to postpone one twice and not postpone the other, that's just a little ridiculous to me. But
Yeah. Well, and it screws up. I mean, and what's the chance that both these games that have been pushed back, past Monday Night Football, have been are teams that would have played on the upcoming Thursday night game? Because right now, the Ravens and the Cowboys are supposed to be playing, are getting ready to start, and then it was Tennessee. I think was supposed to play the Bills on the following Thursday night game or something, or maybe it was Bills Chiefs but anyway, that whole thing messed up that scheduling, which, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it basically gives the Cowboys an extra bye week.
yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue with rescheduling. It is kind of nice to have football on other nights of the week. I would, spread it out a little bit, but um, I just want consistent handling by the league. That's that's all I really want. You know,
Yeah.
it just yeah. I'll
Well,
leave it at that. But
so what were you able to watch the game yesterday?
no, I wasn't able to watch it. It looked slow from what I heard.
It
But
was I was kind of excited. The game started at about 2:40, and I was pretty excited going into the game. Um, but then about halfway through, it was like, man, this is like the worst thing ever. Like it just doesn't feel right. I was thinking maybe I would grab like a pizza or something to just to watch it, and I don't know, have something else. I mean, I pretty much just use it as a thing in the background, but it wasn't a good time to have a pizza or even like really popcorn with the game. Uh, and I don't know, it's just the most awkward time. I think if they're gonna reschedule games, unless it's rescheduling another game to Monday, in which you don't want the two games to overlap like they did that one week, I say that they should just put it on the night schedule. I would not do any more afternoon games. It's like the most boring thing ever, in my opinion.
well, I don't think it was originally supposed to be an afternoon game because I think it was originally supposed to be later, and then it had to get rescheduled because um, I don't what was it NBC who had the
Yeah,
game.
NBC. Yeah.
Yeah, they had another like event or something that they were showing at that would conflict with that original scheduling time, so that's why they moved it up to the afternoon.
Mm.
But yeah, I know I mean I couldn't watch it because of work, so I
Yeah, that's
I mean I that's a little too early. Like if you're gonna do it in the afternoon, do it at like 4. Like, but
right.
that's, at least some people will be off work at that time. It's a little closer to that dinner time. If people want to get a pizza or something like that. But I don't know. It was just a whole messy handling on the league's part. So
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the old New York Giants and the old football team taking the division lead? The Giants are ahead right now just by beating the football team twice. But
I mean, here's the thing. Like, I think the football team has a better chance because of their defense. Because they do have a really good defense, and sometimes defense does win you games. But the Giants have a better offense. I didn't say good offense, better offense. So it just kind of depends, I think. I mean, I'm kind of cheering for Washington, Alex Smith and all. Um, but I don't know. It's a crappy division. So
yeah, I'm going for the football team just because Alex Smith. But
I'm kind of hoping if they keep winning, and maybe if they do make the playoffs, maybe that'll give them a better chance to keep the team name at Washington Football Team. Because I heard that they're actually considering that, and I think that sounds phenomenal.
Well, you know, I actually saw somewhere it said Washington Football Team established on the year that the Redskins were established, and I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense because they were established this year. So whoever printed that off made a mistake, I think.
Yeah.
But
Well,
uh,
how
yeah,
about
go.
we switch the focus from some bad teams to some better teams, at least from a talent perspective. Um, the Buccaneers.
Mm,
So one of the things I've been hearing a lot is a lot of people complaining about Bruce Arians. Um, there's all this talk. I heard it mentioned, you know, is Tom Brady going to try to get Josh McDaniels to come down to Tampa and give Bruce Arians the boot? I don't think so. I mean, I think this is probably about just as much on Brady as it is on Arians, but I'd be curious to hear your take. I mean, Brady has not played good football in some of these games and in some of these bigger moments, and he's arguably got the best weapons that he's ever had in his career. So,
okay, so I've heard some things that Brady is like running the offense right now. Um, but to me, just if he was like calling a lot of plays or like audibles, kind of like I don't know if it's like a Rodgers and LaFleur thing going on here, where it's like, yeah, I want to do this, okay, I'll let you do it, kind of that type of thing, or if Arians is just like straight up calling plays, and then if Brady sees something, he adjusts. But to me, it has to be at least the play calling. I know Brady hasn't played very well, but the play calling, I think, does not help Tom Brady out. Like, they are just calling deep pass after deep pass, a lot of seams, through the middle, a lot of go routes. And they hit one to Mike Evans against the Chiefs. I mean, that play worked, but it was after about six failures, and then a whole week of a whole game of failures, the week before. So it's just, to me, they should be going to like Godwin and Antonio Brown in the slot more. I mean, I don't know why. Like, Antonio Brown should be playing the role of the former just plain white janitor that Brady used to have. That's really what they should be going to more. I mean, I would think, I know he's been out of the league, but if you just go off his, you know, reputation on the Steelers, I would think he would actually be the best receiver on the team. Um, but I don't know. Just some of the play calling on the constant deep balls makes no sense to me. They kind of they kind of do, like, it seems like they mix in the short passes to Godwin and Brown and Evans going down the field, but it's like as soon as they reach the opponent 35-yard line, they just throw like four go routes. So I don't know if you have anything else to say about that. I know you said it's just as much on Brady.
just to clarify, I'm assuming that Brady is doing quite a bit of audibling because that's what I've heard, and honestly, I would assume a quarterback who's been in the league as long as him probably does audible quite a bit. I mean, that's kind of what you'd hope for and expect. He's seen a lot of defenses. He's been in the league long enough. He knows what to look for. So I don't know. It's just it seems like I'm hearing a lot of hate that's putting it pretty much all on Arians, and I think part of that's probably because Arians doesn't protect Brady and is not afraid to criticize Brady, um, unlike Brady when he was in New England. So I think some of it might be coming from that. But I mean, this is a team that's got far too much talent to be performing the way they are. So
I
there's
mean,
clearly some disconnect somewhere.
they're still 7-5. They have a bye week this week. It probably actually kills them that that A, they had no preseason, and B, their bye week is the last possible bye week. Like, I think if their bye week would have been like week 7 or 8, that at that point they were like 5-1 or 6-2, something like that. Then I feel like they wouldn't necessarily be struggling as much. They could work on a little bit of stuff, but yeah, like you said, whoever's calling the plays, all Brady or Arians, they should stop doing what they're doing and go back to the Patriot system.
It kind of looks like the Mike McCarthy offense at the end of his Packers tenure, where we just wanted to throw the ball down the field, and we did no slants. We did nothing, no short routes. When we did long, like these deep routes, we wouldn't have anybody underneath for Rodgers to dump it off to if they were covered. So, I mean, that's kind of what it looks like to me a little bit. But
Yeah, and when Brady does dump it off, Fournette drops it. So
yeah. But, well, let's talk about an offense that's rolling. My Green Bay Packers, who just utterly destroyed the Bears after a heartbreaking loss to the Colts that I was in attendance to witness. I think part of this, so in the Packers' losses this year, it's really looked like there's been a lack of energy at some point in the game. I feel like because it's the Bears, I think I don't think I've ever seen energy as being a problem against the Bears. So I think that's part of it. But I mean, to be realistic, in the games that the Packers have lost, they're aside from Tampa, their offense has not been the problem. It's been the defense. Now, the defense played a much better game this week. Granted, it was Mitchell Trubisky throwing the ball, and I've been saying start Mitch the last couple weeks. Now I understand why they haven't been starting Mitch, because if he's been looking like that in practice, I mean Nick Foles has been horrible. Stick with Nick Foles because Trubisky was horrible, but
to me, I think I don't remember if it was after Trubisky's first interception or a fumble that he had, or he on one of his turnovers in that game. Whenever he was walking off the field, he looked like a man that came to the realization that after this year, he will not be in the NFL.
someone's gonna pick him up. I could see somebody like John Gruden picking him up, and being like, "Oh, he's a good quarterback prospect. He just needs the training." So
Look,
he'll get a job somewhere as a backup or as like a developmental project, but yeah, I think his starting days are over.
John Gruden already has the best quarterback in the league on his team, Nathan Peterman.
I'm actually pretty sure they cut him.
Oh, no way. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he threw a pass against the Falcons.
Really?
Yeah, I want to say I saw something that said Nathan Peterman had a higher pass rating in that game than Brett Favre did in his whole career.
Hold on. I'm looking. Okay, you know what? I was wrong. Oh my, he did complete a pass
What a
for
lucky-
25 yards. So,
Oh, yes.
So he had a 72.9 quarterback rating, which brings his career QBR up to 34.
Man,
Yeah, but
what
could
a
you
legend.
imagine a quarterback duo of Mitchell Trubisky and Nathan Peterman with Derek Carr starting?
Oh, man.
I mean, that just sounds like the most talented quarterback room in the National Football League.
Those three together seem like a hardcore rock band.
That's true.
Oh, man.
Well,
Well,
I don't want to get too off topic here. Did you have any thoughts about the Packers' victory over the Bears?
oh, I guess the only thing is, Brock, that came out a couple weeks ago, said the Packers would not score more than 17 points. I just feel like I had to put that out there, that he was completely and utterly wrong about that. So,
It didn't
yeah.
take very long to do that either.
No, it was like half a quarter.
yeah, yeah, it was pretty quick. So, but
And I guess the other thing, Mark, how was the Colts stadium? Like, was it cool looking? What did it look like?
it was a pretty cool stadium. I mean, like they have windows and everything. It's indoor, so
Right.
indoor stadium. Real nice to be in. Well lit. I mean, I don't have any complaints about it. I really liked it. It was a little weird with how few people were there. I haven't been to a ton of football games in person, but I've been to plenty of baseball games. So, I know the feeling of these types of stadiums. And with there being so few people there, it was just so strange to just be walking through, the corridors and there not being a single person there, which was kind of nice, but, at times it felt like, there was you know, more concessions workers and like maintenance people around than actual fans. So it,
Yeah.
it, it was a cool experience. Like I'm glad I got to go, and it's definitely a lot more enjoyable when you don't have random people sitting right next to you. But
I know that's how I felt about a couple of the movies that I've gone to. That you're like the only people in the whole theater. It's kind of nice.
yep. Well, you want to jump into our picks here, or do you have any
Oh,
more
oh, that,
storylines?
oh, I was just gonna. How many stadiums have you been to? Football stadium.
So I've been to Lambeau, but not for a game. Um, we went
Well,
to
but
like,
then you've gotten to see it at least.
yes, I've been to Lambeau. Granted, it's been a long time. Um, I went to the Rams Stadium in St. Louis, um, and I've been to Lucas Oil, and that's it. So,
Well, based off of those, what order and how cool each stadium is, would you put them?
well, obviously Lambeau's the best, and however, it's probably not the most comfortable experience considering it's outdoor in Green Bay, but um, I don't know. I'd probably go Lambeau, Lucas Oil, and the Rams old stadium, whatever it's called. So,
Yeah, I feel that. I'd put because I've been to four stadiums, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and if you don't count just looking at the outside of them, but I'd say that the AT&T Stadium, the new Cowboy Stadium, is by far the coolest one. And then I would say the Chiefs Stadium is pretty cool, but just the aesthetic of having all the fans in there, like I don't think it would be as cool if all the fans weren't in there. And I know I was cheering for the Cowboys whenever I went to that game. But just hearing everyone do like the tomahawk chop and all their like little traditions and everything, I just thought that was pretty cool. Then the Texas Stadium, I don't remember too much about it. I mean, I remember it kind of being fairly generic. And then the St. Louis Rams Stadium, it was just boring. But, well, there you have it.
yeah.
The official 7 stadiums that we've been to ranked.
Well, we both have been to the Rams stadium, so it's not really 7 different
No,
stadiums.
true.
But hope I'm planning on making it to a lot more stadiums here in the
Mark,
future. So
Mark, this next year you're coming to Cowboys game, right?
hey,
In Arlington?
you know what? Next Packers Cowboys game, let's do it.
Oh boy, that might not be for a while, Mark.
That's in Dallas. No. It's gonna happen. Trust me.
Actually, no, it's not next year. It'd be 2 years,
Hey, you guys can
I
still
think.
win the division. So
Yeah, sure.
But well, let's get into the picks here. Starting it off, batting leadoff, we have the Browns at the Titans. Now, I know you said your prediction was 9-7 now. Is this one of those wins or one of those losses?
The Titans are 7-4.
Something like that. I don't know. I'm not a Titans fan.
Yeah, neither am I. Look, I can't pick the Browns in this. I gotta go with the Titans. Or
Yeah, I've also got to go with the Titans here. Just purely, I'm not going to pick the Browns over the Titans. So,
and Mark, I gotta say, I think the Titans will not be 9-7 just based off their schedule. They're 8-3 right now, and they get to play the Jaguars and the Lions. So those are two for sure wins. And then the Packers could be a win. The Texans, they have a decent shot. So unfortunately, RIP to the 9-7 Titans. So
it's okay. Let's move to some more disappointing teams. We've got the Raiders at the Jets. Even with the Raiders' abysmal performance against the Falcons, I'm never going to pick the Jets. So I got to go with the Raiders.
yeah, 6 points could probably beat the Jets. So
honestly. Next, we've got the Jaguars at the Vikings. I think we're probably both going for the Vikings. So
yeah, the Vikings could have been a real. They could make the playoffs still if they wouldn't have choked against the Cowboys. They'd be 6-5 along with the Cardinals right now.
Yeah,
so
that loss to the Cowboys was a big dent for them because that should have been an easy win for them. But next we've got the Bengals at the Dolphins.
I'm picking the Dolphins. I mean,
I am too. No Joe Burrow. I mean, even if they had Joe Burrow, I think I'd still pick the Dolphins. So
yeah, I probably would too, but I might be a little bit more willing.
Yeah. Next, we've got the Colts at the Texans. I'm going to go with the Colts on this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm assuming they're going to get Robert Mathis and some of the other defensive weapons back because they had a lot of people out last week due to injuries. So I'm going to go with the Colts.
No, I'm going to go with the Texans. I don't know, I feel like they're on a little run here.
Bill O'Brien's influence has finally faded.
Yes.
We have a matchup between two phenomenal teams. The Lions at the Bears, which could be a total toss-up in my opinion.
Oh, it is. It is. I have no... I'm going to pick the Lions just because... I mean, there's really no good reason. I don't even know. It's literally a coin flip to me.
Yeah, you see, I would love to pick against you in this game, but I don't think there's just no team has an advantage here. They're both just awful. So, I mean, I feel like the Bears, they've lost, what, 5 or 6 straight now?
5 in a row.
Yeah, 5 in a row. Like, they've got to really be getting down. So, go with the Lions. Next, we've got the Saints at the Falcons. I'm going with the Saints.
I picked the Falcons 2 weeks ago, and they completely blew it. So I'm going to pick them again here in hopes that they, at home, they're able to, I don't know, pull something wacky off like they did last week.
Thank you for the one-game catch-up.
Possibly 2 by picking the Texans.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that one's quite as crazy, but we've got the Giants at the Seahawks next.
Yeah, the Seahawks. The Seahawks look like they're back on pace. The defense is picking it up again, so...
Yep, I agree. Then we've got the Rams at the Cardinals. This is a tough
Man,
one.
this is hard. Because the Cardinals are kind of on their heels right now.
And the Rams are kind of surging a little bit.
Well, if you take away last week.
Well, right, last
in which
week.
Jared Goff was absolutely awful.
Right, but...
Look, I haven't picked against the Cardinals very much this season, so I might as well just pick him again here. Because why not?
This is tough. It's at the Cardinals, so I'm going to go with the Cardinals because they're at home.
I think it's a mistake by you, but we'll see.
I don't know. That one's a toss-up, too. We've got the Patriots at the Chargers.
Look, the Patriots have a better overall team. Even though Cam Newton literally last week, 84 yards, 2 picks. And they still beat the Cardinals just because Bill Belichick knows how to outcoach people. So, yeah, the Patriots, I mean, I hate picking the Patriots, but...
I really want to pick the Chargers, but... See, I'm not sold on Anthony... I'm not sold on Anthony Lynn. And I think that if Bill Belichick was able to outcoach the Cardinals last week, he can definitely outcoach the Chargers. So...
I mean, I just don't think the Chargers really have a great team, really. They have a good offense, but the rest of their team is just bad.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like they could still use a little... I mean, they've got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert. I mean, never hurts. Yeah, it probably is all in their defense. And I think some of it is coaching too, but...
yeah, well, their special teams are never good.
Yeah. It's almost as bad as the Packers' special teams. Speaking of which, we've got the Eagles at the Packers. So after watching Carson Wentz look absolutely horrible this past week, I'm going to say that this game is going to be the game where Jalen Hurts probably gets his chance. Maybe not in this game, but in the next week. I think the Packers are going to absolutely slaughter the Eagles. So,
I have to pick the Packers here just because, I mean, the Eagles look awful. But if there's a game that the Eagles win and that Carson Wentz looks like a god, it's going to be this game. They did the same thing to you guys. They beat you guys last year somehow. And
yeah, last year's one was rough.
And I don't know. I don't know. I just have like an odd feeling. I can't pick them, but I do have an odd feeling that they might be able to swing it. But I could be completely wrong, and you're completely right, and the Packers win like 30-7. So
I think 30 is underselling the Packers offense just a little bit. But moving on, we've got the Broncos, who will have a quarterback this week at the Chiefs. Not that it's going to matter.
no.
Because the Chiefs will probably win this one handily, so...
Yep.
Then we've got the battle of two defenses.
Oh.
The Washington football team versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, it's a good thing for Washington that the Giants have to play Seattle. So, yeah, the Steelers.
Yep, that's it. The Steelers are undefeated, and Washington plays in the worst division of football. So, Bills at 49ers. I'm going with the Bills here.
Yeah. As much as I hate to say it, maybe the Bills. Maybe I was wrong about the Bills earlier in the season. Yeah, I don't know. They still might not even win a playoff game, but.
And then we've got the Dallas Cowboys at the Baltimore Ravens.
I want to pick the Cowboys just for the meme, but
Hey, the Ravens aren't playing great right now. I mean, neither are you guys, but
look, we just lost Zach Martin for like 4 weeks, so he was our last stand of an offensive lineman, and now that he's out, we have no chance. And we lost our backup left tackle, Cam Irving, for a couple weeks, so we're basically screwed.
I mean, you guys still have the highest paid running back in the league, so you should be fine.
Yes, yes, sure. Don't even get me started.
All right, well that wraps up our picks for the week. You probably want to get off the football train at that note, so you want to switch over to the NBA.
Sure. This has been one of the wildest free agencies I have ever seen in my entire life. And I don't know if that's just, can I say, even though the Lakers won pretty easily this past year, Kawhi going to the Clippers kind of almost balanced the league because people are going all over the place. So I guess just first some re-signings. Brandon Ingram re-signs 5-year deal to the Pelicans. Fred VanVleet 4-year deal to 85 mil to the Raptors. Joe Harris 4-year deal 75 mil to stay with Brooklyn. Dragic 2-year deal 37 million to stay with the Heat. Davis Bertans, 5-year, $80 million deal to stay with the Wizards. Marcus Morris, 4-year deal, $64 million to stay with the Clippers. Millsap, a year deal to stay with the Nuggets. And, yeah, some more non-interesting people as far as that goes. Now we get into the good stuff. So, Gordon Hayward, I'm sure you've heard about this. 4 years, $120 million to go to the Charlotte Hornets. And I believe we were just talking a couple weeks ago about why would Gordon Hayward opt out and not just take a lot of money to stay with the Celtics. Well, I guess he knew something that we didn't.
Yes, the answer to that question is clearly he knew somebody in the Hornets front office was on drugs.
Michael Jordan.
No, Mike wouldn't have made this move.
I don't know. He's done very questionable things.
Yeah, he might have.
Yeah, so I don't know what was going on there, but good for Gordon there. I've always enjoyed him since his Butler days. Bogdanovich. So, a trade. Apparently, he was supposed to get traded to the Bucks, and that whole thing fell through. And apparently, out of all the people Giannis was asking for them to trade for, it was Bogdan. And they couldn't even do that right. So, who knows what Giannis will end up doing in the future. But he ends up signing with the Hawks. And the Hawks are slowly getting better. And that's a 4-year, $72 million deal. Let's see, what else?
What about
yeah.
LeBron James?
Oh, yeah. Well, what do you have? The GM, I guess.
Yeah. What was it, like 2 years, 85 million or something like that?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, he got like a 2-year. It was between 80 and 90 million extension. I mean, it was something ridiculous. Like they broke it out, and it's like he makes like $1.06 like every second or something like that.
Oh man.
Like it's just ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
And then they just signed Anthony Davis It was either earlier today or later last night to that uh, max deal, like 180 million or something over 5 years, something like that. So
Yeah. Well, and then they signed Wesley Matthews to a 1-year deal, and I mean he hasn't really been great, but I guess he kind of fills that role player void. They signed Mark Gasol to a 2-year deal, which I guess that's a pretty good signing uh, for them. Uh, and then they steal Montrezl Harrell from the Clippers, which is just talk about, I guess, snake moves, if you will.
yeah,
But
I mean they're making moves. So
and then Rajon Rondo also goes to the Hawks, leaving the Lakers. Um, Avery Bradley goes to the Heat from the Lakers. Uh, Dwight Howard leaves to go to Philadelphia, and I guess Philadelphia just likes hoarding centers. And then let's see what else they. Oh, DeMarcus Cousins to the Rockets. That could be interesting.
oh
I
yeah,
guess that brings us to one of the greatest trades in NBA history. Would you like to do the honors?
John Wall for Russell Westbrook. Oh, and I believe it was so John Wall's going to the Rockets, and I believe the Rockets got a first rounder out of it too.
Yeah, so it's a really complicated first rounder. It's like 2023 lottery protected. And then if the Rockets don't get that pick, it goes to like first to 10th pick protected in 2024. If they don't get that pick, it's like first through 8th pick 2025. And if they don't get that, then it converts to 2 second rounders in like
Okay, so
2026 and 2027.
this
So it's
might as
basically,
well just be a straight up John Wall for Russell Westbrook trade,
yeah, pretty much.
which I kind of feel like this is kind of a pointless trade. I mean,
No, no, definitely not.
uh, like, I mean, obviously Houston needed to get Westbrook out of there. I mean, congrats Wizards, you got a great team player. Um, and then, I mean, it's a better situation for John Wall because he seems like he's kind of wanted to be out of the Wizards. The thing with John Wall is he hasn't played much over the last 2 years, so I mean, you're kind of hoping he bounces back healthy and is able to stay healthy for the Rockets. I mean, part of this too, I didn't see any details about if there'd be any like offloading of money or anything because Westbrook had quite a big contract.
Well, they both had big deals. Yeah, and I don't think there was any. I think they're just both eating the incoming contracts.
Yeah, I mean, I think Houston gets the edge here. This is probably a better trade for them. I mean, John Wall, I think, has more upside in his chances to be able to play with James Harden than Westbrook ever did. But I don't feel like this is a super impactful trade.
Well, I don't know. Assuming John Wall can be healthy, uh, then I think Houston, and if DeMarcus Cousins can stay healthy, that could be a pretty good team. They're kind of reverting back to what they had with Chris Paul, Harden, and Capella. So they basically just wasted a whole year on the Westbrook experiment, uh, which I'm pretty sure everyone knew was going to fail, besides Rockets fans apparently. Uh, and then Westbrook, you know, I think it's better for the Wizards. I mean, they're almost, they're the ninth seed last year and didn't have John Wall. So I think they'll make the playoffs this year probably, albeit, like you said, it's pretty meaningless because both these teams are going to lose in like the second round. So, and then I guess the other thing, uh, Serge Ibaka went to the Clippers, and I guess just everyone from Toronto just wants to go to LA for some reason. But yeah,
Lot happening in the NBA right now.
yeah, it's just crazy. And the season starts in like is the first games Christmas Day or are they before?
It's something like that because I think the preseason starts December. It's either the 9th or the 11th. I think it's the 11th. So
Because I know they've kind of already been going back into like some testing protocol or something. So
this year is truly gonna feel like the NBA lasted year round, and it already feels long. So
yeah, well, it does. Like, oh, like we're doing a fantasy league, and whenever I got that invite, I was like, God, the NBA is already starting again. What in the world?
yeah, it's a little ridiculous, but uh,
It makes you wish that baseball started right now. That's what I wish for.
yeah. Well, let's touch on baseball just a little bit. Clubs had the opportunity. It was their final day to choose if they were going to tender contracts to eligible players. Um, Obviously, it seems like a lot of the teams right now are trying to shed a little bit of cap. Um, so there's some notable names on the market who could be some really intriguing bounce back players. One of those, Eddie Rosario from the Twins. Um, Granted, he does not walk, which really hurts his on-base percentage, but he's a good outfield bat. Could be a very intriguing option. The Cubs are clearly, and they haven't hidden this, shedding cap. They let Kyle Schwarber go. They let Jose Martinez go. They let Albert Almora Jr. go. I mean, they're pretty much dumping all of their
Garbage
players. Yeah, like all their players who kind of were like, these big name prospects coming up and then just never turned into anything. So, one of the more intriguing options, Michael Franco, who, he was a former top prospect for the Phillies years ago. Played with the Royals this last year. He was non-tendered, which is a little surprising to me because he had a pretty decent year. He had a 278 average, 321 on base, and a 457 slugging. So, I mean, he's a capable bat. I'd love to see him in Milwaukee where we don't have a third baseman. Carlos Rodon from the White Sox. Granted, he only pitched like 7 or 8 innings this last year, and he wasn't good in those innings. I mean, I know he's coming
he
back from
hasn't
Tommy
really.
John, but he was such a big name prospect for them. I'm just a little surprised to see him go. He could be an intriguing option for a pitching coach who wants a flyer.
Yeah, I think he might be a guy that ends up prospering with the change of scenery because he never really has developed into much
Yeah.
with the White Sox.
Tyler Naquin's another one. He was third in the Rookie of the Year voting in 2016. He's struggled a little bit over these past 2 years, but I mean, last year he had a 288 average, 10 home runs over 89 games. Could be an interesting, low cost, high reward type situation. David Dahl's another one. Highly touted outfielder coming up through the Rockies system. Hasn't done much for the last year and a half, really. Adam Duvall, who's pretty much exclusively a power bat. He'll latch on somewhere. And then Archie Bradley, which is one of the biggest head scratchers in my opinion, just because the Reds traded for him, and he was really good last year. It just didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me, but this will be an interesting. There's not as many high-profile free agents this year, but there's a lot of kind of that, and especially with the uncertainty, some potential steals for some clubs, in my opinion. A lot of interesting reclamation projects. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's pretty much.
it'll be I'm already excited for this next season, even though it's like 4 months away.
Oh,
But
absolutely. Let's
but
let's get year-round baseball.
oh, true, true. Just get them all indoor stadiums. Problem solved.
That's right.
Well, I guess that brings us to good old NCAA. And I was mostly just thinking about football, but and we can start with football, obviously, but there is basketball starting up now too. But the first thing I'll start with is, will Michigan not play their game against Ohio State to prevent them from being eligible for the conference championship?
Oh, this would be absolutely hilarious if they did this.
It would be.
I
I
I mean,
agree.
Michigan has no chance of winning it, and they hate Ohio State. So if they want to quote unquote beat Ohio State, this would be the way to do it. But I don't think they're actually going to do it unless they're kind of forced to. So
Yeah. Yeah, I saw some guy on like ESPN going on like a tirade on how it would just be absolutely just terrible by Michigan, and they're all a bunch of losers and sissies if they just opt not to play. And it's like, well, yes, but it would be absolutely hilarious. And
that
honestly, I hope they do this because I'm tired of seeing Ohio State.
yeah, this would be hilarious. Um, well, this isn't Rutgers. We're going to get to a Rutgers fact, but it may sound like a Rutgers storyline to you. Um, so I'm a Wisconsin basketball fan, but I like to support my local teams too. And one of those teams is Illinois State. So, lo and behold, it's Saturday. You know, I'm not paying a whole lot of attention. And I see that Illinois State scored 100 points in the first half of a basketball game. And I was like, huh. So they ended up scoring 177 points, which is top 5 all time. Um, but their opponent, Greenville, put up 108 points. So these are college teams, mind you. So imagine putting up 108 points and still losing by 70. like, but it wasn't just Illinois State. Okay, against Murray, Greenville scored 95. They lost 173 to 95. And then it doesn't end there. UMKC, they scored 97 there. They lost 138 to 97.
Ugh,
This is astonishing to me.
this has to be historically the worst college basketball defense ever.
Yeah, whoever is teaching these players to play defense, I guess this team has probably been, watching a little bit too much of what the Nets defense will look like this next season. But, I mean, I can't believe they're giving up these points. I mean, these aren't even like, I know Greenville's like it's a small school. It's not that big. But these are not big name schools. I mean, this is Murray, UMKC, Illinois State. This is ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's just absolutely absurd. But, well, I guess just a little bit of college basketball talk. I don't know if you've watched any college basketball games. I watched the Duke versus Michigan State game, which was just so odd without any fans because they still had like the crowd noise microphone like super high up, like the volume, and all you hear is like the sneakers on the court and the coaches yelling, and you can barely hear the announcers. Like I could barely understand what Jay Bills was trying to say. I'm like, what is going? Like, why is this noise so high? It's just so awkward to me. Um, I don't know if you have watched a game yet or not.
Yeah, I've watched. Wisconsin's playing 3 games, and I've watched all 3. Granted, they're all kind of like the warm up games teams always schedule at the beginning, like small schools uh, like Eastern Illinois, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Green Bay. You know, nothing too interesting. But they do play Marquette tomorrow, and that's always a really exciting matchup. It's a big rivalry. And Marquette, even though they're unranked, they always seem to play with a lot of energy against Wisconsin. So I'm excited that college basketball's back. I kind of felt like my Badgers got robbed of an opportunity to really make, they were playing really well last year, and everything got shut down. So, I mean, they're number 4 coming in. They have the same lineup.
Oh, Wisconsin's number 4.
Yeah.
Oh my! I did not know that.
Yeah, they returned everybody. So
That's crazy.
they're yeah, they're supposed to be pretty good this year.
You guys might get robbed again.
Yeah, that would be quite that would be awful. But
That's how I felt about Duke as well. But especially with like knowing Trey Jones was going to leave at the end of the season. But
you don't have to worry about any Wisconsin players ever leaving early, because the only way they leave is if they graduate. So
I'm sure they all do, being smart young lads.
yeah, so we got them for 4 years every time. So, but
Sometimes I wish Duke had that ability. Just so you could actually get to know the players and care about them more.
it's like, oh hey, here's Zion. Oh, there goes Zion.
Well, at least, like, you felt like you knew Zion for a long time. You felt like you knew that team for a really long time for some reason. But, like, I'm trying to think, like, 3 years ago, I don't even remember, like, who the freshmen were. Like, oh, wait. Actually, that might have been the Marvin Bagley year. But I'm
Oh
not entirely for
jeez,
sure.
that's a name I completely forgot about.
Yeah,
What
that might have
is
been that year.
what is he? Is he still? Isn't he with the Kings?
He signed somewhere else, but I forget where it was. Oh, no, wait. No, he is with the Kings. That was Harry Giles, another former Duke player that left the Kings. Yeah, no, some of these guys just don't amount to anything. But, I don't know, I'm kind of feeling that way this year. It's like, yeah, who are these guys and why should I care?
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything else to add to the college basketball world?
It's back. That's what I'm excited for. I love college basketball, so
I agree. I
I'm
think it would be
I'm pumped.
interesting. I don't know, maybe like next week or something, we could just talk about. We could come up with our own ways that they could do the March Madness bracket at some point this, for this season.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
But
All Big Ten teams, but
yes, even Rutgers.
well, of course.
Now, so I brought the fact this week, I guess you can say, or at least I think it's a fact. But this is not necessarily about the Rutgers sports organizations here, but I rather chose something just about the university as a whole. And I was trying to find facts about Rutgers, and it was hard to find anything super interesting in my opinion. Something really wacky, something out there. And I eventually got onto the rabbit trail that is Reddit, and that led me down to a Reddit, or a Rutgers hate subreddit. And eventually, I was just scrolling through it, and apparently they have tests, exams on Sunday evenings. Now, I saw this about a week ago whenever I was just looking, and I couldn't find the exact thing that I had seen it a week ago on. So I tried looking again, and nothing official from the university says that they do that. But there's a lot of people on this one subreddit that were saying that they had to get back for exams on Sunday evening. They had partied Saturday night, partied hard, and then forgot they had a test on Sunday. So, well, I'll say this is about 80% sure that this is an actual legit fact. But hey, what do you think, Mark? What would you think of a Sunday test?
Well, coming from a big party school and being a big party person myself, obviously, um, I mean, this just sounds unfair. I mean, what else am I supposed to do on a Saturday night other than partay? I mean,
Yes, I know it's maybe this is, and albeit this is on Sunday evenings, Mark, not Saturday.
well, I know, but
But
you
but
got to recover all of Sunday. But
well,
um, I
right.
mean, I party hard, but
You party into Sunday morning.
that's right. That's
I
right.
remember. I remember.
Yes, yes. So, I mean, if you have to actually go into a classroom and take an exam on Sunday night, that's just awful. But I mean, if it's something where it's like, it could easily just be something like, an exam is due online, maybe with online proctoring by Sunday evening. And whenever they say by Sunday evening, everybody waits until Sunday evening. So
Right.
it could be something like that. If that's the case, you don't have much to complain about.
Well,
But going into an actual classroom and taking an exam on a Sunday night just sounds awful.
I did see one of the people that was complaining about it, and maybe this was they've gotten rid of this because this was, I want to say it was like 4 or 5 years ago whenever these like comments were made. So maybe they have gotten rid of it. But one of them was, it was like 100 level class with like 100 people in it, and it was proctored by a TA in person. So the professor didn't actually show up, but it was a TA um, that was doing it.
Ah, okay.
So, which that would still be. I mean, that would completely ruin getting Chinese on Sunday night, Chinese food.
Of course, of course.
But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting, whether it's still going on or not. But if at any point they did have that, that would just be completely wild. Um, and now, I guess we can talk about the sports we don't care about. And the first one, really, one of the only things this week, considering tennis is over, and I don't even know if golf is still going on, but all the important stuff that golf had going on is over. So that leaves us with Nate Robinson versus Jake Paul, the fight of the century.
It was a disappointing result. I love Nate Robinson. He's hilarious. It was fun having him in Chicago when he was there. And I just don't like Jake Paul. So I was really hoping Nate Robinson would pull it out here, but nah, he took a right hook like a champ. So
Yeah. Well, Jake Paul is actually like somewhat of a decent like fighter. Like I think he had some like MMA or some training like that.
yeah, he's done quite a bit of training over the last 2 years, I think. So he's definitely got a lot more like formal training than Robinson has, but
I mean, it still looked like these were a couple of idiots just going into the ring for like a major fight, and then it just was like, what is going on?
what is boxing?
What is, like, imagine this was your first boxing match that you've ever watched. That's
Disgraced YouTube star versus short former NBA player.
it's the funniest thing that came out of this is just all the tweets and memes about Nate Robinson. I
Hey,
hate to say it.
he jumped. He jumped right back into that group chat, though. They said, like he took it like a champ. Like nothing negative from him. He hopped right back in. He owned it that he lost, and
I mean,
I
what else are we supposed to do? Like,
yeah.
say, oh, I was fluke.
Hey, we all want the rematch, so let's
Oh,
get.
man. Maybe this can be the rematch of, it can be like the opener rematch to the rematch of Mayweather versus like Pacquiao or something.
Oh,
Or Mayweather McGregor.
I would love to see Jake Paul step into a ring with Floyd Mayweather. Heck, I would love to see him jump into a ring with Mike Tyson. But
Oh, man. Oh, that was the other thing. It was like
yeah,
Mike Tyson versus, what was the other guy? I forgot.
Roy Jones Jr., right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, which ended in a draw, technically, but everybody said that it seemed like they kind of wanted it to be a draw. I didn't watch the match, but from what I read, uh, there's a whole scoring system with boxing based off of lands, blows you land and everything like that. And everybody said Tyson actually should have won, but they probably kind of wanted it to be a.
Well, wasn't it like a match for charity or something, so there couldn't be like a technical winner?
Oh yeah, I mean that's true. People still got butthurt about it. But
Yeah, that's the internet.
but I mean, hey, props to Tyson in his 50s hopping back into the ring. So
He could probably beat some of the people now, I feel like.
yeah, it would just depend. I mean, maybe some of the lower level boxers, but I feel like higher level boxers, he's too old. Like I've got to imagine the reflexes can't be
Oh,
quite
true.
as good, and I feel like putting him in against an actual professional, most professional trained boxers. Floyd Mayweather can still do it because he's still young enough, and Mayweather's a different type of boxer than Tyson. I mean, Mayweather's about as defensive as they come. So Tyson's a more I'm coming at you. So I think the reflexes are the big thing there, and boxing actually is a sport where you probably don't want younger people boxing people that are 20 years older than them potentially.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have for today.
Well, we didn't cover one sport.
Oh,
My
what is that?
favorite sport, the MLS, and man, has it been a phenomenal last 2 weeks. Because normally, I hear something about the MLS, like on accident. I have heard nothing. I have not even seen a mention of the MLS on any of my sports apps. It is phenomenal. It is the sweetest thing. So I don't even have to come up with something creative to say that, I care about the MLS about as much as blank. Because clearly no one else does right now. I don't know if they're in the off season, if it's just canceled. For all I know at this point, the MLS just doesn't exist. So,
And that's a reality I'm fine with.
yes, this is a world I want to live in, where the MLS doesn't exist. And the XFL's back, obviously.
Oh,
But,
yes.
well, this has been episode 11 of the MJ Sports Podcast. We thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week.